Point fire is one of the most overlooked skills in Tarkov. In this video, I'll break down how to master point fire and how to leverage it in your gunfights. So what is point fire? Point fire is any time you fire your weapon without aiming down the sights. Essentially, you're hip firing. And in most first-person shooter games, this is wildly inaccurate and usually just a last resort. However, in Tarkov, point fire can be extremely powerful if it's used in the right scenarios. Tarkov's game mechanics or gunfire mechanics make it possible for point fire to be extremely accurate when you use the right gun setup, the right skills, and most importantly, when you fucking practice it. So for this to make sense, we first got to talk a little bit about game mechanics and how it impacts point fire. Well, why can't we just use one of those on-screen crosshairs or put a dot on our screen to the very center and just go with that? Well, in Tarkov, it simply does not just send the bullets to the center of the screen. In Tarkov, every bullet is a projectile that is a 3D rendered object in the game world that exits the 3D rendered gun that your character model is carrying, which is why you can't just use the very center of the screen as an aiming point. So why is point fire so critical? Well, first, it's speed, reaction time. In close quarters, you're trying to ADS, it can take an eternity. When you're point firing, you're immediately reacting and putting shots on your opponent. Number two is visibility. In close quarters, you're already really close to your target. And when you ADS, it reduces your field of vision, and this can make it really difficult to track your target. Especially if you're dealing with a gamer who's 80-80 strafing, you're swinging your gun, overcompensating, making it really tough to put shots on them. On top of that, your sight's getting in the way. If you're not using a suppressor, your gun's generating a massive muzzle flash, and it just becomes almost impossible to track your target. In close quarters, point fire keeps your vision clear, allows you to track your target, and respond accordingly. So with all that out of the way, how do we actually start developing this point fire skill? Well, we're going to need to build some muscle memory. And the best way to do that is to fire up Tarkov Arena. So we're going to want to go to the Assault class and build a preset. I'm not going to walk through exactly how to build a preset in this video, but I recommend starting with something with low recoil, manageable recoil, like an M4. I've got on the screen here the M4 build I've been using in all the video clips. If you don't have all these attachments unlocked, just build the best you can with the lowest recoil. And the most important part at this beginning stage is make sure you add a laser sight to your gun. So after you've got your preset built, you're going to want to jump into a last hero game mode match. You'll keep respawning, so you're going to get the most use out of your time, the most experience trying to get kills with point fire. I recommend starting with Chop Shop. That's a great map to go with because it's very small, there's lots of close quarters, and it has some long sights. So in this first phase of developing the skill, you're going to want to keep your gun laser sight on 100% of the time. What we're doing is we're trying to train your hand-eye coordination, your muscle memory, with aligning your target and your gun on the screen. The laser is a guide that's helping us align the weapon with the target. Alright, so after you start getting some kills and build some confidence, you'll know you're ready for phase 2. Hopefully at this point you'll have realized that keeping your gun about chest height is what's going to make you more effective at using point fire. So in phase 2, instead of keeping the laser on 100% of the time, you're going to want to turn it off. And you only turn it on when you're not quite sure that your gun's trained at chest height. Maybe before you go around a corner or get into another firefight, turn it on briefly, realign your gun with about the chest height area, and turn it back off. Now, how long it's going to take to master this skill, that's going to vary for everyone. But you'll know you're getting better when you start to realize you're not turning the laser on anymore. And you can take it a step further by just removing the laser completely from your gun build. Now, the final phase of developing point fire skill is not necessarily actually hitting the target, but it's knowing when to use point fire. Chop Shop is a great map because it has a lot of close quarters, but it also has some long sight lines. So this could be a great opportunity, a great map to practice when to use point fire and training yourself on which scenarios you should be using which type of fire. If they thought that was helpful, hit the like button, subscribe, all that bullshit. Good luck in your raids.